He says, please explain the aqeeqah process for my baby boy and what should be the age, the size of the sheep. Barakallahu feek wa baraka feekum. May Allah bless you and congratulations for having a new child. بورك في الموهوب وشكرت الواهب وبلغ أشده ورزقت بره. This is a dua which we should invoke whenever somebody receives a child, a baby boy or a girl. Al-aqeeqah, which the brother inquired about, is sunnatu mu'akkada, an emphatic sunnah. An emphatic sunnah because there is one hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said, كل غلام مرتهن بعقيقته. This hadith is narrated by Samura ibn Jundub, may Allah be pleased with him. He said, كل غلام مرتهن بعقيقته تذبح عنه يوم سابعه ويحلق ويتصدق بوزن شعره فضة أو ما يعادلها ويسمى. There is a group of instructions in this hadith. Every newborn is mortgaged to his aqeeqah. So we should offer the aqeeqah, hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the child healthy, will make him intelligent, will make him righteous, and so on. That is the meaning of murtahanun bi'aqiqati. It is one of the means of gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for receiving such child. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in this hadith, number one, that al-dhabh or slaughtering the aqeeqah is recommended to be on the 7th day of the birth of the child, whether it's he or she. And kul mawlud covers both boys and or girls. And also the Prophet ﷺ prescribed on the 7th, يُحْلَقُ وَيُتَصَدَّقُ بِوَزْنِ شَعْرِهِ فِضَّةً وَيُسَمَّى, to shave the head of the baby boy and to weigh the hair, which would be very light, of course, and to give a sadaqah equivalent to its weight of silver. So if it is 1 gram, 2 grams, you see how much 1 gram of silver will be, and you give this in a charity on behalf of the child. There is a difference of opinions pertaining the baby girl, whether we should also shave the head of the baby girl or not. Then there is another instruction in the hadith which is وَيُسَمَّى, and to give him the name on that day. That is the official time of giving the name, but obviously you can name the baby before that or after that. And the aqeeqah itself is a sunnah, it is emphatic sunnah as I mentioned. While the hadith and the command appears as a wajib, but there is another hadith that Al-Imam Malik narrated in his Muwatta, in which he said that the Prophet ﷺ said, مَنْ وُلِدَ لَهُ وَلَدٌ فَأَحَبَّ أَنْ يُنْسِكَ عَنْ وَلَدِهِ فَلْيَفْعَلْ. Whoever receives a child and he would like to give the nusuk or the aqeeqah, let him do so. So the mandate in the earlier hadith now has been diverted from the wajib into the recommendation. So it is an emphatic sunnah, not a wajib, by joining the two hadith together. As far as the difference between the baby boy and the baby girl with regards to the number of heads or animal, Aisha radiyallahu anha narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam أمرهم أن يعق عن الغلام شاتان مكافئتان وعن الجارية شاة, to slaughter or to offer 2 sheep on behalf of the child and 1 for the girl. Also the sunnah, as is stated in the hadith, to do the slaughtering process on the 7th day of the birth. If the person wasn't able for a reason or another, then he can postpone it to the 14th, otherwise to the 21st day, otherwise to the 28th. Then afterward, it doesn't matter any day or time. And also the scholars said it is also recommended for a person, if his parents didn't go to do aqeeqah on his behalf when he was a child, he may do it on behalf of himself as he grows up. But in fact, the aqeeqah is due on the father or the person who is in a charge for raising and upbringing the child. He is responsible for this. Also, some people require that the person should see the animal while it's being slaughtered. This is not true. This is not necessarily true. So he can do it by proxy. He can ask somebody to do it in his state. That's permissible. There is some also myth pertaining that the aqeeqah must be cooked entirely without breaking the bones. That's not also true. It is permissible to break the bones or to cut the meat to make it into slices, and the aqeeqah or the animal of the aqeeqah would be distributed and handled the same way we handle the udhiyah. Al-udhiyah, 1/3 we may keep it for ourselves and we distribute 1/3 amongst our relatives, and 1/3 that is the share of the fuqara or the poor. Same way we do with the aqeeqah. While it is better in the case of the aqeeqah to cook the meat and to feed people. Also the same requirements in the case of the udhiyah pertaining the animal which to be slaughtered apply here as well. For instance, in the case of the sheep or the lamb, it shouldn't be less than 6 months old. In the case of the goat, at least 1 year old. In the case of a cow or a buffalo, 2 years old at least, and in the case of the camel, 5 years old. And these are the requirements of the udhiyah, the conditions of the animal which must meet in order to be valid to be slaughtered for the udhiyah. Applies here also in the case of aqeeqah. We call to the animal for a camel or a buffalo or a cow, musinna. In the case of the camel, at least 5 years. In the case of the cow or the buffalo, at least 2 years. In the case of the goat, at least 1 year. While the lamb, the sheep, male or female, at least 6 months old. Also, the animal must be intact, must be healthy, must not have any of the faults which will decrease its value or prices. An animal which is sick or weak, no, it is not valid. When you offer a qurbani, you must choose something that you like for yourself, because you're offering this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Provided, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَن يَنَالَ اللَّهُ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ. Allah is not going to taste its meat or flesh. Rather, it is a taqwa which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to receive from you. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Ma'idah, إِنَّمَا تَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. It is only that Allah accepts from al-muttaqeen, or the righteous ones. The animal shouldn't be, whatever animal we slaughter for the aqeeqah or the udhiyah, shouldn't be limping, shouldn't be with torn ear or nose, shouldn't be blind or even one eye blind. Yani, it choose an animal which is a healthy animal to be accepted. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. If the person, of course, doesn't have the means to offer the aqeeqah, then maybe some other time, whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses him. As I said in the beginning, al-aqeeqah is an emphatic sunnah, not a mandatory thing, according to the view of the vast majority of the scholars, and in the light of the hadith which I quoted earlier.